Hello and welcome to Anjuda Guitars. I'm Carlos Montoro. I know it's been a while without a video, but there is a good reason for that. Let me go straight to the point. There was an accident with the guitar, and there was even a moment with no guitar at all. So let me tell you the story. It all happened the very same day that the last video was released. At that time, the guitar has two options: to be in the jig you saw me building in the last video, or to be in the little humidity chamber that I have here. I took the guitar to make some measurements for the graphics you saw in that video, and then I finished everything with the video and uploaded it to YouTube, and it was online, and I was very happy and confident and everything was great. Then I took the guitar back into the humidity chamber. I checked the humidifier and everything was good, so I went home. The problem was that during the night the humidifier decided to go into tropical mode, without a warning or without asking to. So the next day when I came into the workshop, the humidity chamber was like a Rastafari dream. The level of humidity inside the chamber was so high that the hot glue just started to melt, and pieces of wood were literally going off the guitar and falling to the floor. Believe me when I say that it was a complete mess. After the first heart attack, I took my smartphone and recorded something. Maybe I thought that you would like to see it. Then I had to think fast because I had mainly two problems. The first one is that the glue was going to dry at some point. That means that everything was going to stay in place. So I had to decide what to fall apart and what to keep as it was. The second problem was that at that moment the worst that could happen to the wood was to dry quickly, but the humidifier was broken, so I had to run out and buy another one. So I took care for the first problem, and I right away decided that I was going to do nothing with the top and the sides of the guitar. It was so messy that I didn't know how to attack the problem. But the back of the guitar was another story. The glue was so melted that you can pick up the pieces of wood, but there was a main problem. The two sides of the guitar were not stable, and there was a high risk to the label to be broken. So I decided to remove the label from the wood. And of course, when you are like a surgeon over an open heart in a life or death situation. No puedo ahora. Vale. Just take a look at this mess. The pieces of binding, parts of wood everywhere. Everything was full of glue residue. Luckily the guitar wasn't in the jig. If so, the sides wouldn't have space to expand, so they would probably broke. As you can see, the back of the guitar was so fragile that eventually the two sides just fall apart. At the time I was devastated. I just wanted to stop recording, to stop restoring the guitar and just to stop being luthier. But don't worry, if you're watching this, it's because there is some light at the end of the tunnel. After a while, I started to work on the guitar again. The first thing I did was to remove these two reinforcements, because they were cracked. And again I used some moisture and heat to soften the glue. Then, with a little spatula, I could break the joint bit a bit. The glue dries quickly, so you have to repeat the process of moisture and heat over and over again. You better take your time and go slowly, because otherwise you can crack both the reinforcement or the back of the guitar. And eventually, there we go. My first idea was to replace these two reinforcements, but after thinking twice, I came with the solution of gluing back the crack, so that way I could use the original pieces again. Also, the first idea was to remove only the two reinforcements that were cracked. But gluing back the two sides of the guitar again was going to be easier without all the reinforcements. So at the end I removed all of them. There was glue residue everywhere. The glue used by Casasnovas brothers was hide glue, which is the glue used mainly until the 20th century. Without a doubt, it was a high quality glue. I know that because wherever there's glue in the guitar, it is sticky. And remember that this glue has 120 years. But there wasn't only glue. There was dust, grime. It was just dirty. I wanted to clean it all, but without making shine new again. I wanted to keep the original patina of the guitar. So warm water, cotton, and a lot of patience. That was the ingredients. It took me a lot of hours to clean everything. But take a look at this comparison. It was, without a doubt, worth it. This spot here annoyed me a lot. I think it's regular tight bond. While the back of the guitar was only with hide glue, the top has a lot of fixes with different glues. And I'm pretty sure that this drop comes from one of those fixes. With everything clean, we can just enjoy the beautiful flame this wood has. Let's talk a little bit about the setup I'm using to glue both sides of the back of the guitar. This is definitely old school, but I'm using this rig for a good reason. Usually when you are gluing both sides of a top of a guitar, for example, you use regular clamps for the lateral force and some others to make the joint flat. When making a guitar, you glue both sides before roughing the shape of a guitar in the top. That way, the surface you have for the clamps to actuate is completely flat, so you don't use them in a weird manner. But in this case, I don't even have a rough shape of the guitar. What I have is the final shape of the guitar. And everything is curved, so clamping gets a little bit trickier. And that is why I came with this old school solution. Pay attention to where the crisscross are made. They are right in the belly, right in the waist, and in the shoulders. That is so those places are where the cord sits, let's say, more comfortably. They are going to stay in place, not moving anywhere. Then, hammering these long wedges will add lateral tension, but not only lateral tension, they are also going to force the glue joint upright to make it completely flat. And in those empty spots, well, just regular clamps will do the job. Time to prepare some hide glue. I didn't know anything about natural hide glue. I used the hide glue from Tide Bond, which is already prepared in a bottle. But this was a new experience for me. It comes from my wish to be as close as possible to the original. This is not an easy business, and I have to learn a lot how to use this before using it on the guitar. And I spent weeks learning and making myself comfortable with it. I also have to thank Ilan, because he was my teacher during this process. There is a crack in one of the sides. To fix it, I'm going to use a not very usual approach. Instead of wood, I'm going to use a piece of linen. First, I apply a layer of wood directly into the crack. Then I place the linen, and after that I'm going to soak it all with hide glue. The linen will expand and contract with the guitar, adding some flexibility to the crack, and in addition, it will prevent the crack to go farther. Just a couple of small clamps is enough to keep everything in place while the glue dries. At this point, I felt a great relief. After all those weeks researching and not knowing what was going to happen, I was finally going somewhere. I couldn't wait to come back to the workshop the next day and see how good the glue joint was. Then it was time for cleaning. The glue left a little bit of residue, as always does. But with a Q-tip and a little bit of warm water, you can easily remove all the glue. Well, sometimes you need more than a Q-tip. It was time to find out how good the glue joint was. And remember that it's very important for the glue joint to be completely flat. Here I'm checking the flatness with this tool that is completely flat. And so far, so good. But the good news weren't constant along the whole joint. There is here a little step that has to be somehow corrected. Because the wood is in its final shape, I just couldn't scrape the little gap, but I found a way to do it properly. A little bit more of hot water and heat, just enough to soften a little bit the glue. Then again I can use some clamps in that spot to make it spot on. I had to repeat the process maybe a couple of 3 times in the whole joint, but eventually it came perfect. I think it's enough for now. The good news is that there's a lot that has been already recorded, so my hope is to see you again in maybe a couple or 3 weeks. But this is not a promise though. I really would like to know your opinion about all of this. It is worth to continue with this restoration or reconstruction or whatever this is. Let me know in the comments below. I will see you there. Until next time, bye.